We are back live, ladies and gentlemen, and we're streaming on prisonplanet.tv and infowars.com, being broadcast with all our great affiliates across the nation. Gary Lachman is our guest. His book, Politics and the Occult, The Right, the Left, and the Radically Unseen. We just discussed Hitler and the Nazis' use of the SS symbols, the swastika, and their belief in the occult. Let's take it to the United States, and not only the United States, but kind of European leaders also go to places like the Bohemian Grove, and really the white Anglo-Saxon crowd is recruited in colleges like Yale and others with groups like Book and Snake and, of course, the infamous Skull and Bones. What have you, I mean, you look at Bohemian Grove, they seem to have this owl as a mascot. Some people interpret it as Moloch, others don't. But they also have a Buddha or a Maitreya figure there. They have St. John of Maple Nook. What do you think they're doing up there in the Grove?
Well, to tell you the truth, I know about Bohemian Grove. I've read a bit about it, but I don't really cover it in the book. So it's not really my patch. So to tell you the truth, I haven't the slightest idea.
So would you consider, would you consider that stuff the right wing aspect? I mean, that's where, you know, Bush, his father go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, traditionally the right wing aspect of sort of politics and the occult it's linked to tradition. And it's a response to the rise of the modern world, which mostly means either the rise of democracy or the rise of some form of socialism, of left kind of thinking, which generally is a form of leveling. It levels out sort of the social hierarchies. It gets rid of the aristocracy. It gets rid of the monarchy. It gets rid of the king, the queen, and all of those people that are in a hierarchical higher level than the common person. And this was something that was completely feared by many traditional thinking people in Europe. That's the area that I cover in the book mostly. And again, as I said, this is a response, even though it's happened throughout the last few centuries. I start in the early 1600s with the appearance of, the non-appearance actually of a group called the Rosicrucians, and they're an example of progressive kind of what we would call sort of left occult political thinking. But with the rise of the modern world, with the breakdown of the hierarchy, the loss of religion as a very strong element in society, many groups reacted to that, and they reacted in the way that they saw different forms of esotericism, different forms of sort of mysticism or occult thinking. This was a place where that notion of tradition was still alive, and it was still viable. And so they sort of took elements from that. And again, this is I don't really do conspiracy theories, and I don't really do the kind of what's going on in the back room sort of thing. I basically looked at history, upfront history that's available, in books that you can get, and you can find it. You can find the influence, or you can find where people with an occult bent were involved in politics, or where certain occultists or certain people that were esoteric thinkers tried to take their ideas and to put them into practice in politics or social theory. And again, this is a response to the modern world. It's an anti-egalitarian, anti-democratic, anti-socialist or communist or anything that is sort of supporting the idea of getting rid of the hierarchy. So that's, in many ways, I don't know if that's what's going on in Bohemian Grove or, Skull and Bones and all that sort of thing. But I wouldn't be surprised, although I would say it wouldn't necessarily be a religious one. It would probably be more, of an economic one, a financial one.
Well, what are some of these modern examples?
And, maintain their position in power.
Well, what are some of these modern examples, then, of what you consider the left and the occult, some of the organizations or the people?
Well, it's not it's historical. If you look at somebody like the Theosophy, the Theosophical Society, which was started in 1875 by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, this wild, eccentric Russian woman who, after a crazy life, packed with, enough life for a dozen people, wound up in New York in 1875. She herself was, she she herself wasn't so much directly involved with this, but her successor, a woman named Annie Besant, who was in England a major socialist. She was a Fabian. The Fabians were a early socialist think tank, more or less, in late 19th, early 20th century England. And Annie Besant was one of those. She was for women's rights. She was for, free love. She was for better working conditions for working people. There was a famous strike called the Match Girl strike that she was involved in, that she was put into jail for and all that. She got involved in theosophy and really threw herself into it. And theosophy, as you probably know, it gets a great deal of its philosophy, its ideas from India, from Indian thought, from the mystic East. And so she went to India, and she became actually, hands-on involved in Indian independence. Getting rid of the Raj, India for India. And also involved with that was reintroducing to the Indian people a great deal of their heritage that had been lost while they were under the British rule. Things like the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, all these great works of Indian, Hindu mysticism and spirituality. The Indian people of the time were more or less ignorant of those because they've been brought up under British rule, and she reintroduced that to them. So there you have an example of someone, working for the national identity of an indigenous people, which is a very progressive left sort of idea, and also their independence. So again, this is something that was, really, it was there. It wasn't hidden. It wasn't secret. It was something that was, right up front. And that even fascinates me more because, I tend not to go down the conspiracy theory route because it's such a can of worms. Once you open them up, once you open that door, there's lots of other doors to open. And I feel you can get lost in it, and you never quite arrive anywhere. So I decided at the beginning, okay, I'm not going to go that way, but I'm just going to show you can trace in history where there have been times when I keep saying occult politics, but in many ways it's a religious, it's a spiritual, it's a politics that's motivated by sort of high ideals rather than, say, the utilitarian politics of, economy and making sure everybody's got enough to eat, and the sort of more pragmatic politics that we're more familiar with. This occult politics has to do with this kind of transcendental view of human nature and how society should be motivated by these high ideals. And in both sides of the fence, both the left and the right, there have been different groups who have tried to introduce that. There's people that say, like, the States, the United States themselves. I mean, I live in London now, but I grew up in the States. The founding fathers were all Masons, and there was a whole Masonic set of ideas that was involved in the origin of the states. And there's even books written about how Washington, D.C. is, laid out according to these sort of astrological Masonic ideas. And again, it's true. I mean, the whole ideas about the brotherhood of man, a certain kind of egalitarianism, a certain sense of people helping each other and personal freedom and religious tolerance. These were all ideas that were in the air, as it were.
Let me stop you. You keep saying, this is all about individual freedoms and really the betterment of humanity through this whole thing. If that is the case, then why don't these people come out as occultists? Why is it that they pose as Christian conservatives?
I'm saying they are out. I'm saying I'm sure other books probably deal with the guys in the back room, with the shades.
But you keep saying conspiracy. Hold on, let me stop you for a second. Let me stop you because you keep saying conspiracy theories and people in the back room. I'm holding their own annals. I can name the members. I mean, they've taken pictures with the organization. They're openly members. People like Newt Gingrich, who propose themselves as Christian conservatives, are members of the occult. I'm sure you've come across dozens, if not hundreds of names.
What do you mean by members of the occult? The occult.
Well, wouldn't you consider? Hold on. Yeah, but wouldn't you consider a society that openly does rituals to their deity, an owl? And again, this is inscribed in the...
As I said, and I basically said this when your producer got in touch with me. I said, I don't do conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but you keep saying, hold on, you keep saying conspiracy theory. Hold on. You keep saying conspiracy theory, Gary. You keep saying conspiracy theory. I'm showing their pictures in their own books with their own words. So where is the conspiracy theory in that? I mean, you turn to I don't know how that's different than you quoting Blonsky.
Well, look, I'm not going to have a shouting match with you. I've given up an evening to do this. I'm happy to watch the news. The thing is that I don't know anything about it. So you could ask me questions about them, and I can't give you an intelligent
But
answer.
you're saying that all these people are openly occultists.
If you read the book, if you looked at the book, you'd know what I talked about. And I'm happy to talk about
Well, I would be happy to read the book. I'm sorry, I'm substituting on the show today, and I just got thrown you.
I didn't realize that. So, I mean, I'm happy to talk about anything in the book, but I don't want to talk about something I don't know anything about.
All right, yeah, but again, you're saying that all these people are out in the open. Hold on, you're saying that all these people... But Gary, you're saying in your own words that all these people are out in the open when the very meaning of the term occult is hidden. Is it not?